Tell we're post-COVID now. All right, I'd like to call to order the Tree Protection Board meeting. This is July 11th, 2022. First order of business, approved minutes from June 6th meeting. Are there any additions, deletions?
Move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, old business, 104 King Charles Circle, one oak tree. Do we have a property owner here? Okay, Bill, do you have any information on this particular one? I know we've seen it. Did everybody have a chance to read the arborist letter? I think it was from Bartlett.
Yep.
Did anybody have any issues with what was presented in the letter?
No, I thought it was excellent and it provided a blueprint for the future, which you normally probably don't get under normal circumstances with some other company. As to the inspection schedule and all that, to assure that everything's still being done correctly, and with no guarantee that the tree won't die, but it was a good, complete letter and set of recommendations.
Yeah, and further, the company is, the arborist company has a reputation for following up on whatever they propose. So I feel good about it.
Okay, is there any more comments? So we want to make a motion on this particular item, although it's not for a permit, it's just the approval of leaving the tree, correct?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we allow the construction to continue, which was what being held up because of the efforts taken to save the tree and treat it as best as possible.
Do I have a second? Or more comments?
Well, I just wanted to add to what Peter said, and that is that I also support approval of the plan to save the tree, provided the property owner follows through and uses the proposal. But so I would second his motion.
So Bill, just from your aspect, that is something that will be reviewed over time to make sure that mitigation efforts
I'll inspect that before they get started, before we issue the permit. I'll make sure that the tree protection is supposed to be and following it.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any more comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. New business, 411 Parish Park Drive, removal of one oak tree. Do we have a property owner here for this?
You can actually, that one is unpaid.
Okay.
I had some comments about that one.
All right. So our next new business will be 319 Driver Avenue, removal of 5 pine trees and 1 oak tree. Y'all welcome to come up front if you'd like. Good morning.
Good morning.
Money,
To see you guys again.
Yes.
they're here.
So Bill, you want to give your assessment of the trees first, and then we'll go with property owners' comments.
Hello?
Yeah.
Because it's recorded live. I think tree number 1 was a healthy pine tree. Number 2, the 29-inch pine tree that looked healthy. Number 4 tree had a rotten spot in it. And number 5, the 24-inch pine tree that was healthy. And then number 6 was a 30-inch pine tree back in back. We didn't see anything wrong with it, but it did have some interesting shapes to it.
Okay.
Oak tree in there too.
So from our discussion on site, I think you mentioned that you're looking for some better access. Is this one of the main reasons for the removal of the trees?
Better access to my backyard, and to be able to protect my home and improve it.
Any
Well,
comments?
yeah, I have a question. I can't,
Number two, down at the bottom where the grass, you can stick a screwdriver straight to the bottom of the tree. And number four, it's basically that halfway up, it splits off. And tree number one, the whole entire top of that one is out.
Let's go back to tree number 2. I don't recall, and we looked at that closely. That was the one I believe that had a sick and dying small Chinese tallow tree next to it, small little tree. And I believe we excavated around that tree, number 2, 29 inch, the one that has the lean.
It has
Admittedly has a lean.
And it is also, towards the base of it, right there where you can see. Literally, it's all bottom of that tree.
Well, I believe we examined that and didn't concur with that. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody?
I looked specifically at that area where the tallow tree was, and the tallow tree showed some issues, but I didn't see any rot at the base of number 2. The lean is of some concern because it does lean over the house, and it's not as if it grew straight and began to lean. As you can see, it comes out of the soil at a curve. So my thought was to allow for the removal of number 4 and number 2. Number 4 because of the problems that we saw in it and we all agreed upon. And number 2, just because of the lean and its proximity to the house. But I didn't see anything structural. I saw nothing structurally wrong with the tree.
No, I have contacted the tree company. Or if I do get approved, taking the trees out. and just
You say you have that now.
Yes, sir. Several copies of each one.
You're welcome
You've
to
been
hand them
welcome
out,
to give them
please.
to us, sure.
So while she's doing that, number 1 was
Thank you.
there was not much of a top, correct?
Correct,
So
yeah.
I don't know that that's could be an issue.
Number,
There.
the cluster of the
And
3.
the
of them.
cluster of those 3 trees are an issue. And I agree with Danny on number 2, any mitigation efforts to trim it up, you're not gonna have much of a top to get that weight off that side going toward the house. So 1, 3, yep, and 2. Which one did we find? One of them
4 was the one that had the defect, 5 was
Okay,
fine,
yeah.
and 6, although
different
with a big
shape.
rabbit corn on it, yeah, could find no damage. But let's see what this says here. Boy, this is small. Got my glasses.
It's not really an analysis as such.
No, sir, it's just an estimate.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, for my thinking, if a tree company wanted to do a certified arborist wanted to do an inspection and write a report that says that our findings are incorrect, I would certainly reconsider, but I think that our analysis and our analysis was pretty thorough, and we have experience as well. So
Yes, sir, I'm not.
no, I understand. I'm just saying that if you could find someone who would dispute what we're suggesting, we will happily entertain that.
He gave me this estimate 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Normally when we make a motion to either approve or not approve it, there's other trees that were denied. We always usually put a caveat in there that if you have a certified arborist there at the time trimming, and they climb the trees, they see something we can't see. And that could be reported to Mr. Salisbury, and then he'll have the authority to approve it if the defect actually matches the information that they have. So that may be an opportunity here, not knowing what the motion is going to be right now. Is there?
I agree with just about everything, except I think that notwithstanding any reasons to remove them other than the health of the tree, I think that tree number 2 could have considerable weight removed from it and not endanger the health of the tree, to take some of its leaning, its top heaviness, if you will, or side heaviness, I guess is the right way to put it. Because otherwise, in my estimation, that was a very healthy tree.
It was healthy.
So it is leaning, but it's not raising the ground behind it. It's been leaning like that forever. It may be leaning like that because the tree behind it has been there the whole time.
And the other trees that are close by are fighting for sunlight as well as number two. And if it is leaning, searching for sunlight, that would explain why it is leaning some in that direction.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's competing for space. So, but again, there are other considerations as well. Yes. Because if it were going to fall, for some reason,
Consideration, I can't get full access to get into my backyard. I eventually want to have man cave built back there for my husband. And I'm wanting to get a new roof, new windows, in my yards, and there need to get access to here, all the stuff that I need done for those trees. I don't have full access to my yard.
what kind of vehicle are you thinking of needing to get back there?
A full-size pickup truck pulling the trailer that used to go, that's as far as we can get that trailer into the yard.
I didn't visualize that space with that I didn't take that into consideration when I was looking at, there seemed to be a fair amount of space to the left, to the right of tree number 2, but
To the right of the conference trees, there is a sunroom and my AC unit. You cannot get through there with that. And on the other side of them, behind the set of trees, there's not room for the turn. to go through there. That's why the trailer's sitting where it's at, because the truck will not pull it any further.
Yeah, my recollection, Peter, is they would have to, between tree 5 and that shed in the back, you'd have to basically back that trailer sharp 90 degrees to get it anywhere else in the yard
what about 5?
between here and the trailer of the building. You have to back it like 90 degrees to get it.
Yeah.
So removal of the small cluster in the front there, tree 1 and removal of that, and removal of tree 2, and a removal of tree 4 would not be sufficient to satisfy your needs?
The three-
Everybody but, forget about number 6 in the back, everybody but number 5, who is a perfectly healthy tree and not leaning and not doing anything. If that were to stay,
If, yes, if 1, 2, 3, and 4 could go, that would allow me to be able to have access. We're talking about leaving tree 5.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with tree 5. I mean, there's no question, there's
Well, I
nothing
believe-
questionable.
I believe that taking the other ones down there would allow me to have the access to the backyard that I need to have access.
Okay,
Yeah, I think they'll be able to make that turn right here. That's what we're looking at. And Dave mentioned it. May have to modify your gate a little bit, possibly to get the turn, but should be enough room.
So tree 5 and 6 were left, you'd be okay with you think they'd be all right?
Tree 6 does scare me because like storm came up yesterday, and same thing my kitchen window. That tree just stands there and does this.
It's a healthy process, but it keeps
Yeah.
spreading.
It might be healthy for the tree, but not healthy for my.
We understand. I mean, going back to number 2, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, Peter. I think you could take a lot of weight off and there's gonna be such a small crown toward the top. Stuff we lift for a long time. My thought is, if you have to do that to get the weight off, then why not let that tree go too?
I concur with that.
Plus now the access element there too.
right, well, that would take care of it for sure. Can you go ahead and make that
I
motion?
promise you, I don't want to take it down just because I don't like.
Is there any more discussion on this aspect of any more health issues or?
Don't remember seeing any.
Well, I'll make a motion. I move that we allow 1 through 4 to be removed, just based on the health and the lean in one tree and access. 5 and 6 will stay. And again, if the tree crews out there and they have a certified arborist and they find some issues with the other 2 trees, then they can report that back to you in a written form and it can be forwarded to Mr. Salisbury and he can take action on those 2 trees if it's necessary.
Yeah, I second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So they'll,
So do I need to come back and pick it up? Oh, all right. Well, I'd like to thank you all for your time.
thank you. Next order of business is 151 Chandler Drive, removal of 4 pine trees. Do we have a property owner here for that? Okay, you're welcome to come up if you'd like. I think on our inspection, everybody correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't find any issues with any of the trees. So you want to explain what the property owner's position is on these?
So we talked about foundation issues in the future for the 2 closest to the house, and then access issues and fence in the future for the number 3, and then the 4th at the back of the property. That's right here. He's from, he just moved here, and he was talking about lines of his property. And he was concerned too, a big storm that would hit his house and fell. I know it is at the back of the property, but
So all of his issues are surrounding future issues, not any current issues right now is what I'm hearing.
trying to
Okay.
prevent them before they happen. His biggest concern was the 2 by the house and the 1 by the fence, the one in the back of the property. He wasn't pressing that one, but he was supposed to get a shed in the future, but he's out of town and the delivery dates and everything got screwed up. And as I believe I heard them talking, the shed was already on property.
Mhm.
So that's why the permit, all that was kind of weird when you were looking at it.
So
Yeah, I submitted it on Thursday.
I understand the issues with the trees along the house, but I think we can deal with that. I'm curious about the one near the fence. What's the issue there?
Access issues and he was worried about the fence in the future and then the access issues, because you see he has his RV back there as well. So getting back there, he has to drive around it.
Well, obviously he's already got the RV back there, correct? I mean, it's already in position now with that tree there.
It's getting in and out. Like I said, it was an issue we talked about.
As far as trees 1 and 2 challenged into the foundation, we found no evidence whatsoever currently of any foundation challenge. And those trees are big and been there a long time.
Yeah,
The
they got-
presumption is that maybe, go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, I believe those are 23. The other one is 15 and the one at the back probably was 28 PVH, but like I said, he's trying to fix problems before they happen.
Okay, well, there's a solution to the foundation issue for sure. It's called root pruning, and I'm sure you know what that means. And it could be, it can be evaluated that the roots are even challenging the house with these tree companies who are able to actually air separate the soil from the foundation and examine whether, and if there's even a hint of roots that need to be cut or emerging roots that are entering that direction, there are barriers that can be put down to biologically discourage the roots from growing. If they touch it, they stop growing. And that's considerably less expensive than removing the trees. We understand always the fear of a tree falling in a storm. In the ordinance, we don't have a provision for that being a reason for taking down a tree in and of itself.
We've had storms before and it obviously is a big tree, a healthy tree, straight. Those are all positive aspects that we look for and look at. And the root pruning is very effective, and like you said, a lot less, expensive, and it is effective. And I've talked to people who've had this done, and they're pleased with the outcome. And you prune right at the foundation of the house, not at the tree, but at the foundation. And that could account for tree 1 and 2. Be a lot less expensive.
I would question root pruning number one as close as it was to the concrete. I mean, somebody else have a different opinion about
Which one,
that?
number one?
Number one, that was the closest one, if I remember right.
That was 3 foot. yes, 3
Yeah.
foot.
Okay, well, we could examine it, and if the roots are going underneath, then yeah, then that would be reason to take the tree down if, yeah, that is too close.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
number 2, I believe it's actually 4 foot. 7.5 foot.
Yeah, but conversely, and I'm just thinking out loud here, that if you were to root prune, what is that, that's number, whatever that one is closest to the porch. Number 3, is it one, number one?
Number one.
Okay, you could root prune there, then you've got still 3/4 of the root zone for roots to regenerate. And they would be anchor roots that would help to prohibit the tree from falling towards the house as opposed to giving way. I would feel comfortable with at least an inspection of that. And then if the inspection shows that, well, it can't be done without leaving the tree at risk, then approve it then. But I think that there's a possibility that this tree could be root pruned and be okay. That's the way I see it.
Certainly worth looking into.
Any more comments?
I move that we deny removal of the trees, but seriously recommend an evaluation of the roots on tree number 1 and 2 as respect to the challenging of the foundation of that house. If there appears to be another problem, a problem associated with that, then feel free to come back here, please.
All right, second. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Any more discussion?
Obviously, we cannot address the roots and where they go unless we crawl under, and yet that's on the slab, isn't it?
Yep.
So. So we can do.
Any more discussion, comments? Have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you for your time. Next item is 206 Thames Avenue, removal of 4 pines and 1 gum tree. Do we have a property owner here? Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, 1 and 2 are already tagged and those were approved. The number 4 pine has a very weird shape and all the weight is on one side.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, the 2 with the tape on it, those apparently were struck by lightning or something over the years. They've been dropping branches, green branches, since we moved into the house. The gum tree is down at the back on the fence line. The top half of that is dead. Number 3 is like a pencil. It sways very greatly in any wind at all.
Pine trees routinely drop branches. It's called self-pruning. It's nice and inexpensive for you. It doesn't cost you anything,
Mhm.
but that's just the nature of pine trees to drop. Some are usually branches, and ones that just die back.
I'm
It's the
trying to find my
nature of-
notes. What's the
But
address?
1 and 2, in my estimation, the top crowns look like they've been hit by lightning or something over the years. There is no real growth crown to it anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think the gum was actually a red maple.
correct?
Wouldn't
Yeah.
wouldn't help me at all.
On the far back.
I've never gotten close to it. There's
Yeah.
poison ivy.
Yeah. no,
I've only looked at it
and-
from
yeah.
30 feet or so.
The tree's hurting,
And tree number 2 had the top was broken out of it
right? I had
at
that
some
too.
point in time.
And I think one also has the top gone.
Well, tree one being the biggest one in the yard, I personally, and probably spent more time looking at the crown, and it looked pretty healthy to me. I agree that number 3 is a toothpick. I don't know whether that's a proper condemnation, but I disagree about the top on number 1. I agree with number 2. There were issues with number 2 and could continue to be. Danny?
Yeah, I concur with the number 1 is a relatively healthy tree. One with a blown out top, I think should be removed. Which one? That is
2.
2. And the one the diameter is so thin and I'm looking at the picture, I'm trying to see if it has much taper to see how sturdy it is. I mean, it wouldn't, I wouldn't have any pains if that were removed. It might actually help the growth of some of the others.
There you go, Dan.
Which number
See
was
the
that?
taper at the bottom there, number 3.
I do see it now. I beg your pardon. I have to take back what I said. I do see the taper on it. So it's got good taper, which means it's sturdy. Can we see the crown a little bit better? Yeah, it's hard to see the
Back to
crown.
the
Hard to see it.
other one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See this,
you can see it.
it's got good crown. It's got good crown. So
It's skinny, but
yeah, it's skinny, but I don't think I could approve removing 3. So 2 and perhaps the red maple in the back. That's all I see.
any, I don't know what you saw, Bill, any lightning strike would be, is minor, if there's any,
I think number 1 had a lightning strike and heal that.
right, it wasn't, didn't seem like it came and blew anything out. I mean, like we've seen before, the streak.
Go to another picture. Go down to the roots. See that, right there, ground of number 1 where it bubbled a little bit there. And I having a little spot up on it higher than that.
Yeah, the one that was up high, I remember.
And it healed all the way up, but
And do you think that was lightning versus maybe 2 codominant stems that had joined? Because that's what it looked like to me. I don't know.
I thought that was a lightning strike.
It was so thin, it didn't look like lightning to me.
It healed back pretty good.
Our neighbors had reported after we moved in that our backyard seems to be a target for lightning. So that's probably what's happened.
Well, there's obviously been other removals there. The ground is uneven, and as if there's been some work back there, like tree removal or stump removal or something, right? But you're a new resident, right?
Yeah.
So,
And you think number 4 is okay, even though it has that weird shape? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes,
I do.
Well, usually
I'm
for-
not used to seeing a pine like that, that's why.
I remember when we got out walking up, I was thinking number 1 was a very healthy looking tree. I'm very impressed with it, just walking up in your yard.
and we have to look at that sometimes, that it speaks over, the acne of its past, if you will. Maybe a small lightning strike, maybe whatever the basal issue was, but these are long gone in terms of being an issue for the health of the tree, because that's obviously very healthy. And is it a threat? It's very hard to perceive at this point that any of those marks would indicate any kind of serious threat for that tree to fall or be subject to, wind throw or snapping, which is what's usually going to happen to a loblolly pine tree like that.
It's the wind damage I fear the most. We were there 8 weeks when the first branch came down through the bathroom. So
Did it have needles on it?
yes, the green needles.
Well, it's not the strongest wood in the world. I will say that.
Any
Okay,
more?
so I will get a letter saying which ones you've approved and which ones you've declined.
We're gonna do that right now.
Very good, so
Yeah.
I can have that. Okay,
So any more discussion?
I think I'm good.
thank you.
Do I have a motion?
You go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion that we allow approval of tree number 2 and the red maple.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay. I'm assuming I'm talking to myself as I did it when you were sitting there. Aye,
All right, all ayes, no nays, correct?
yes.
Okay,
Sleep
motion
there.
carries. All right, so our next item is going to be 102 Primrose Path, removal of 2 pines, 2 oaks, 1 cedar, 1 poplar, 2 magnolias, and 2 gum trees. And I don't, the property owner here is, and neither is the father-in-law, so I'll just say, I know we all know what they said. They wanted the trees removed for access and to divert water from the house that appears to be pooling underneath the house or running under the house. I think, I didn't see the video, but I think some of y'all saw the video.
Yeah.
I saw it. There's obviously a problem there.
There's a problem with drainage and for certain, but I would encourage them to explore, rather than removing all of those trees as they're requesting, to explore piping it as opposed to building a swale and then removing just enough trees that they'd need to resubmit, but remove just enough trees on one side or the other to allow the ability to back whatever you wanted it to back in there. I don't see the need for removing all those trees and just to create a swale.
And it was also for being able to back the boat in, right?
That's right.
Multiple use, I think, boat, trailer.
But you didn't have to take everything down to get, what was your feeling about backing the boat down there with some of them removed, but not all of them?
Well, I think, well, looking at the aspect from back and from when you come into the driveway, thank you, right there, going straight toward number 2 and 3 and 5, that's going to be your target for your, anybody backing a trailer and stuff.
Right.
I mean, 4 is already a tree that's, I think, any of us have a problem with. I think it's already decaying, if I remember right. But straight
Yes,
back,
it was.
yeah, straight back, that's the thing. I guess the question is more about number 1 to me. As far as, does that need to be taken down for access or for the grade change, or even put a piping in there to get the water away? But the whole clump is straight back there for backing anything. That's just my opinion.
Right. I wondered about going to the right of that clump to back down and then piping between the, to the right of number 1. And then.
Access between those 2 trees right there?
Well, I think if you talked about removing, was it removing one of the trees? There was a tree on the right that was decayed. And if that was removed, if number 4 is removed, and then possibly, I mean, number 1 might need to be removed. And if we're thinking about a hardship of the property owner, and I don't know if this qualifies, then if you could back down that way and then pipe to the left of number 1 and number 4, that might save several trees.
What Danny, you remember right in front of that recycle can where the 0 is on 102, they had a small grate. And then they had about a 4 or 6 inch pipe that went down that really wasn't adequate.
No, right.
It needs to be totally re-engineered, but they did have a drain right there.
That's what I would love to just see a proposal from an engineer that might say, yes, this can be done.
They were concerned about water pooling, is that correct?
They did
Water
have,
flowing.
yeah, they did have
and doing
to
major
water
erosion.
under the house.
If they take down trees, they're gonna have more water, because those trees are drinking up a lot of water. And a lot of times people don't realize how much water they consume.
Well, also the grade, it actually slopes towards the
Yeah,
house.
the water's getting forced in there. There's no
So it's
way
running
around
right
it.
along the
As fast as
house.
that, we saw a video, as fast as that water was moving, the trees wouldn't have time to absorb it through the roots. They really wouldn't, no ma'am. So I'd like for them to reconsider removing all the trees and come up with an alternate proposal that involves piping and leaving some remaining trees.
Bill, did not engineering weigh in on that?
Yes, Dale was with me when we went over there one first time, and he, talked to him about putting the pipe across, drain across the driveway, you know, like. He recommended.
Right.
There's a fence along the property line too that you'd have to deal with, the neighbor.
Really don't want to hide yellow, it's just flash flood. You say more flash flood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming down there.
Yeah.
You have downpours.
Well, just for full disclosure, I've known these folks for a long time, so I'm ultimately going to recuse myself from this. But I will say that we're asking the individuals to spend a lot more money on engineering when they have the ability to take the trees out there to have good access to the back to park. I'm not necessarily considering number one being one taken out, because I think they could probably do something without that, still get the boat and the trailer through there. But I just want you, having said that, I just want you to consider what's in the backyard. You know, we've taken into account many times what somebody has on their property. None of these are really specimen trees per se. Backyard is, I don't remember, Dave, I think you did an assessment of how many trees there are back there.
Yeah, I counted 9 pines and at least 30 plus hardwoods. And that included a couple hardwoods in the front that are part of
So,
the permitting. And once you get past that little fence in the back, the backyard is so low, they really can't utilize. You know, it's probably bogged down most of the year. You can kind of see where the water's been running right there behind that piece of equipment right by the house. And was tree number 6 a water oak? Do you remember? I don't remember what species that was. I think it was, yeah, I don't think it was that healthy, but it says oak.
I think there was a bunch of decay out there, wasn't there, Bill?
Yeah, that tree was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one of the nicest trees that could be saved and not impact what they're requesting would be one, in my opinion.
I agree.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I think the other pine tree that's a specimen tree is right in the middle of the clump where it would be backed, whether you go left or right. I think that's number 8, if I'm correct.
Yeah, well, wow.
Yeah, it would be right in the middle. Well, it would also compromise doing anything with the topography sloping away.
Well, but, you know, David mentioned topography and because Fay was mentioning the tree's ability to absorb water, but if they remove all those trees, there will be no viable root systems to hold the soil. Do we run the risk of increasing the erosion?
Think what?
He's already rocked the,
Yeah.
Fine, I mean, it's fine stone. I think since last time, I can't remember, they had that down, when we were there. In the driveway, they put stuff down. Right. So it's not like big rock. If you try to put it down and you try to pull
Right.
something else, gonna spin your tires and stuff. I don't think that's what they're.
But what Danny's saying is where all the trees are removed, you're saying he's gonna put rock there?
That's what they said, Jess.
Yeah.
It's not here to say it, but
Yeah, they're wanting to grade it away from the house. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he said he wanted to put a boat, a utility trailer, kind of make a little parking area on the right side. Because you really can't get in the backyard.
What's tree number 6?
I think that's that oak, that water oak that wasn't too
Yes.
healthy.
It was shows number 4 from the other angle, but
yeah.
Basically what it's for in this picture.
yeah, that looks like it's probably the same tree. I'll make a motion if you want one.
It's hard.
Again, I think it'd be, to me, it'd be more of an issue if they didn't have all the trees in their backyard. And
Right.
I know there was some discussion which they've not, it's just thinking about building a garage in the back. I don't know that they'll ever be able to, is what is there. So it's not like. they'll
Even get a
take-
permit to do it, right?
That's right. They still need a permit. Has nothing to do with this thing here, but if we're worried about that future use, I don't know that's gonna happen because that would take a lot of money to prep that site and drain that.
It's a little bit premature then to get what might do, what they might build. They can come back with a request.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those trees will remain back there. I don't think we have any issue with those things going anytime soon.
Make a motion.
Are we done with this comment discussion? I mean,
Well, only that I haven't yet decided how I'm going to vote, but I've got to say that I don't feel that, I haven't seen evidence that the requester has done due diligence in trying to find an alternative. I mean, I don't. Now, and it may be that there is no alternative, and it may be that it is in the best interest of everything, given the number of trees that are in the backyard, that this is a worthwhile, I mean, a valid request. But I just haven't heard from the property owner that they have tried to find an alternative. And I got the sense that water was an issue, but getting that trailer back there was the main issue.
What?
The water was an issue, drainage was an issue, but having a place to park the trailer was the primary issue.
it was the primary thing that they wanted. And I think the father and father-in-law found the water under the house. I don't think the owners themselves knew that was happening when they first started talking about this thing. Bill, you went out there a number of times talking with him. I don't know when that water issue really popped up.
The tree issue started, parking issue started. Then poured down rain, and they had water problems, so they called me back. Second time. Is water. Situation.
You know, I hate more than anything in the world to kick a can down the road. I just hate it. But I declare I can't support the removal of those trees without hearing from the property owner or the requester that they have really researched this and there is no alternative. I can't support it.
All right.
You think a little more work prior to a request would be in order?
I think I would love, and it doesn't have to be an engineer that tells me. I need to see that the water cannot be diverted and not destroy the property. That is what I see as the hardship, is the potential for water to damage the property. I see that as a hardship. Removing the tree so you can back a trailer in there, it's certainly, I mean, it's desirable if you're a property owner, but I don't know that it's worth removing all those trees. And I would just like to hear a further argument from folks addressing both issues.
Well, again, not to be biased, because that's what it's going to sound like, since I know the folks. I mean, if I own the property, I would want reasonable use of my property. To me, those trees are, considering what's in the backyard, is a small amount of trees to be removed. Again, taking into account whether it's a water issue, whether it's the access issue, they truly have a need to park. They want to park. And yes, they can move things all around their driveway. If that's what the board decides is all right, and that's certainly fine. But they want use of the property like most people do. And that's the biggest issue there. But does it match up to our UDO? Does it match up to what our intent is here? That's what we're here to decide.
They have access to the yard if you left 5 and 6, or if it's 4.
I think 6, I don't think anybody's got a problem with that coming down
Yeah, it
based
was
on
a-
the health. I
it was a
don't
dog.
think that. And there's probably a
Six is
number
in
6,
health.
the water oak that's, it's all decayed on the top, I'm pretty sure. And then probably some of the clusters of smaller ones. I guess we're looking more at the cedar and the pines than anything. But no, I don't think they have the access if you leave 9, 8, possibly 7. I don't know if somebody had an issue with number 5. I can't remember.
I was just looking at the possibility of removing 2, 3, 7, 8, and 9, but you say that 6 is, or is not really good, so. I was trying to make more space.
I mean, the numbers you just mentioned, I think would probably work for them. I mean, you said 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. I mean, you're really not leaving much more than 1 and 5 anyway, because 6 would come down no matter what.
So that would really something staying
Would you, you would leave 1 and 5?
Yeah.
at 1 and 5.
1 and
One
5.
and And you know, I might be able to support that.
Say 1 and 8 or your 2 main ones.
Yeah, but 8's right smack in the middle.
Mhm.
You have a description of 8?
18-inch pine.
8 is the healthy pine.
18-inch. We can go back to the last picture that was there, please. There, thank you.
Number 8 is an 18-inch pine.
Right, I see that. The number 1's a 19. Okay,
You know, from a driveway design perspective, and if you were to do as Faye suggested and remove everything and leave number 8, number 1 and number 8, that puts any trailer by the side of the house. It doesn't put it in the backyard. Is that,
There's a meter there, and I think, what else was there, Dave? Because he brought that up, what obstacles he would have and issues coming close to the house.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to get down in the backyard because that's such a slope there. There's 2 big pine trees I remember right behind that fence.
Right.
And I think he was wanting to back boat and trailer once he did his topo work. Boat and trailer just right there.
right, it wasn't gonna go beyond the fence.
Yeah, you know, if it was mine, it's a creek back there. I don't think I'd back off that ridge in that backyard. You might not come back up that hill.
Get some help.
Yeah.
and where is 8 in relation to that, Dave?
8 is
Right in the
kind of
middle.
behind 3. Well, you can kind of see it above the 3.
Okay.
And it's kind of in the middle. I mean, it would probably impede any topo work or grading work that they did, you know, try to correct that drainage issue.
Because if they could, again, not go all the way down to the fence and park, I want to try to be accommodating for the property owner. And stop before you got to number 8 and park the boat on that side. I just don't see a problem with that from a utilization standpoint, nor an aesthetic one. since 1 and 8 are probably the best trees on the lot.
I don't know, I don't know what size boat they have. I know what the trailer is. When you back down, obviously you back to number 8. You're got to have, for a bigger boat, you got to have a straighter.
I don't think they have both yet.
Okay, well, whatever they have, I don't know what they have. They have a lot of stuff I've never seen, but just if they did have a boat.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have to get the boat further back so you can straighten out with your vehicle that you're backing. I'm not sure if one is not gonna be an issue for that to stop where you're talking about. The trailer probably wouldn't be an issue. Of course, it'd be sticking out. But
Size of the boat does matter, as how many trees we want to talk about removing. A canoe compared to a much larger boat.
You say you already know how big the trailer is.
Well, it's right here.
That's going to be the future trailer, maybe.
I don't know, there's could be another trailer than that. I mean, I can't count on the future, but
No.
I guess I just put ourselves in there. I don't know if I'd want, if I had a lawnmower and which he puts on that and some other stuff, I'd want it sticking out in front of the house. I'd want it as far back
Oh, yeah.
obscured as possible. I think we all would agree with that. Is it enough to remove the trees? Again, that's up to the board.
Well, the discussion really comes down to if we do suggest, we adhere to the session of saving 1 and 6. And if 4 is not in the way, maybe someone can fix it up and it'll live for another 50 years. I don't know. It's not in the way. Then number 8 is one pine tree that's holding up the functionality of.
So if 1 and 4, if 8 were removed, which, if we allowed 8 to be removed, what would be left? 1? Would 1 stay?
And 6 from another angle. 6 is closer to the fence. So Faye pointed that out. Do we see another picture with it? There we go. Oh, 5,
5 and 6 are
5, 5,
closest.
5.
1,
and
5, and 6. And which one is,
and big-
has issues?
6.
Okay.
At least
So-
in that picture.
Yeah, so essentially 1 and 5 would stay.
Yeah, I don't exactly
That's
remember.
removing 7 trees, and there are 9 plus in the backyard.
Maybe 1 5.
That's what I'm-
So Pay, what you suggested 2, 3, 7, 8, 9? Is that what you suggested?
Yes.
And 6 is the one that's decayed and 5 is a healthy oak, whatever it is.
We keep it 5 and 1.
Number 4 is the unhealthy oak, and number 6 is the healthy.
That was just the numbers were switched then?
Yeah, I got something mixed up.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I was calling 4 6. 4 6.
4 is got a lot of light.
That's the one closest to the fence though.
Right.
It needs to come out.
So we're down to 1 and
1 and 6. I'll make that motion if it's time.
Are we done? Well, yeah, you can make a motion. We can still have discussion.
I move that we allow all but tree 1 and 6 to be removed.
second.
Do we have any other discussion?
I would just like to add something that Danny did, that this was difficult for us to decide. We didn't get the full confidence that alternatives were looked at. I know that the piping may be very expensive. I don't know. You look at the price for cutting down trees and carting them off. I don't know. I don't know if an estimate was ever reached for that. That would have made this a whole lot easier. This is not part of the motion. This is just a statement. Because there is a water problem that needs to be addressed for sure. That's, again, potential harm to the owner. Being able to back a trailer in is a convenience. Anyhow, I have not added anything to the motion.
No, that's fine. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
And I recuse myself, so we have 3 ayes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, next item is 316 Ashley Drive, removal of 1 pine tree. Do we have a property owner here? Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing?
Yes, we have had constant issues with this pine tree being so close to the house and leaning towards the house. And branches have already damaged a carport. Like I have pictures. I don't know if you have pictures about it. It is a danger when we walk under it. Big branches have fallen, and there's a constant problem with the roof with needles, pine needles covering the roof of the house, and it's a constant problem. We would like to remove it. We are concerned about the leaning over the house. I don't know if you have one like that, but I have a picture here. You can see how it leans over the house. And here's what I-
Most trees drop leaves or
Oh, yes, but the danger is the needles is
Me neither.
you can blow them away. But most concern is that the danger to the house. It's too close to the house. The branches are over the roof. And any hurricane, any storm that we might have, it's just for anybody that living in the house, it's a danger. It's threatening.
I think we talked a little bit about the limbs when we were there, about selectively pruning limbs.
Yeah.
That may have more of a hazard to the roof line itself. The tree itself was, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, was healthy. Did you find anything?
Tree does not have a health problem, but I can
it's gonna be there before the house was, wasn't it? Guess it. Maybe.
No, the house was built in 67. I don't think that tree is that long, that old.
40 inches in diameter. It takes a while to get there.
Maybe
But-
close.
My impression was the same, that it's a very healthy tree.
Yeah.
I understand the concern about the branches over the house. I understand about the fear of branches falling. To have a professional arborist treat the tree in terms of pruning branches, some branches could be taken off that are on the side of the house to lessen the potential load for falling on the house, but if they're alive and well, that's not going to be an issue. But that expense compared to what it's going to take that tree down would be considerably less.
We already have a company that's registered with Somerville. The tree experts, I don't know if you know that, heard of them. They when I came to ask for the permission, they checked it out on the computer and they said, yes, they do a good job. So I already have an estimate for them to take the tree down. Pruning the branches, being so close to the house and leaning over the house, as you can see those pictures that I showed you, it is a constant problem. And it's a constant danger to the roof and the house itself. And I would like to cut it down.
I understand, and we hear this a lot. People are worried about big trees near the house, and things can happen. If we were to respond to every tree that was concerning to an owner that was close to a house, not dangerously close, like cracking the foundation, then there would be many fewer trees.
Somerville in the grass.
Again, I understand, and I wonder if we could get an evaluation from that tree company in terms of their professional opinion.
Well, I already spoke, they already told me, yes, it's a danger, and they already told me it's going to be very difficult to protect the house, but they have insurance and everything. But their opinion was it is a danger to the house. You want that in writing? I'll get it in writing, but you can see how it's leaning, and all the branches are over the house.
Well, that's why I mentioned some of the branches could be thinned out on that side of the house to sort of equalize the weight. I don't recall.
I'm saying by the pictures and what we saw, I mean, it's
pretty
well balanced. Yeah, I mean. yeah,
I
you
don't
definitely-
remember the lean as profoundly as it shows in this picture.
Well, you
either.
got that one bow right here, but it's still, the tree itself is not over the house. It's
No.
the limbs that are over the house.
Yes,
That's-
well, it's leaning, the tree is not straight. You can see the trees towards the house. It is not a very dangerous angle, but it's still in, as you know, probably, and you mentioned here that the pine wood is not the strongest. And in a hurricane, that's going to go over the house. And I mean, if you want me to prune it, that would be fine. But I would like to state for the record that if anything happens, it's your decision, not mine.
Well, this tree, I mean, just looking at the pictures of what we saw out there, yeah, it goes up, then it's growing like this a little bit, then it's starting to straighten up toward the top. Unless I'm seeing something different here. You definitely have limbs here that I would take out. Just because there's no needles on them and they're gonna fall off. Absolutely. By this picture.
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that lean is more of a growth lean.
Yeah, you can see it's starting to grow,
look at that.
The
That's a
last
great
8
picture
feet
right
is
there.
straightening.
The tree's gonna start off, their weight can take them over a little bit, then they'll start that sun, they're gonna go straight toward that sun. And go
Uh,
straight up.
It's- Where that curve is I mean, I'm concerned because
understand.
I've been through quite a few storms, and I just, no, just hope that that doesn't break over there where actually you see the curve.
When we look at trees and determine the health of the tree or try to look at it, and of course, we can't see. One of our group, when we were out looking at trees, but binoculars trying to see further up, and we can't really see further than where we're standing. And we're talking about roots, and if they're going under house, we can't see the roots either. So we make suggestions and judgments based on what we can see. And yes, we have storms, and it's amazing how pines can sway and then still stand there. And they have good tap roots that hold them there. That's what's holding them. So those are good things. Flower count in the pines. But some of them need to come down, but we have to weigh all that.
It would absolutely be very helpful to have a certified arborist look at the tree as a whole and come back with some quantifiable issues, not just because the height of the tree, not just because there's some limbs that need to be taken out, that they could actually find something that we can't see from the ground that would justify a tree like this be taken down. That's what we're looking for. I mean, based on our own ordinance, there's not a lot of leeway here to allow a tree to be removed like this. In my opinion.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree. I see no reason to remove the tree. But if a certified arborist can go up in the tree and find a weak juncture You know, for instance, where that lean is, it looks to me like I see wound wood or growth wood built up on the outside of that, which is helping to strengthen where that curve is. But if someone were to look at that, a certified arborist, and say, oh, no, there's decay in here and this is dangerous, then I'll change my mind. But I don't see it at this juncture. So I would recommend, I cannot approve removal of this tree from my perspective, unless a certified arborist tells us that it should come out.
Do I have a motion?
Well, before you take a
Sure.
decision, you tell me you cannot see under the ground, you cannot see the top. You want an arborist to look at it to see if you're saying that it's healthy. You're saying that it's healthy. I just want to state for the record that you would be reliable. This city would be liable if that tree breaks and breaks my house. Is that stating in the record?
Saying that the town is responsible for storms.
I'm not
We
saying
understand your
storms, man.
comment.
I'm saying your decisions. I'm just saying, state for the record that I am not liable. You are. If that tree that's leaning towards the house, the limbs have already damaged pretty much the cardboard that you can see there. I have another picture with that if you'd like to see that. Now, I go with your decision. I respect your decision, but I want you to be clear on that because it is a danger.
Well, we appreciate your comments and we understand your viewpoint.
Yeah.
And it's definitely in the record.
Okay.
But you can still defer this and get a certified arborist to get up there and see if there's something really we need to worry
I'm going to
about.
look into that.
Huh?
I'm going to look into that, and
Okay.
if you approve of the pruning, I'll go ahead and prune it. I'll do what I have to do, but I just want to let you know that pines, they're like toothpicks. Pines are like toothpicks. In a storm, you don't know which ones. It could all of them come down. It all, you know. In any storm, there is a circle around the storm with a small, circles. I'm sorry, I'm from Peru. I turn little tornadoes around it, those are the dangers, not the storm itself. And you can never predict what's going to happen in a storm. The wind is not the problem. It's just the little tornadoes around the storm. And that's why I'm so concerned just living there that, I mean, any night I can get, like we just had a storm last night, and you know, you never know.
How long have you lived in this house, sir?
That house, I bought it in 89 and 98, I'm sorry.
How long have you lived in it?
I lived off and on. Right now, I'm not living there, but it's you know, I bought that house for my father when he was in Florida, and he came and lived there.
Again, well, I think we understand your concerns. There are certain requirements that would only allow us to approve a tree like this. And I don't think we've met those requirements.
Okay.
You do not need permission to prune the tree as long as it's done by arbor standards. I mean, it just means you can't take more than 20% of the limbs out, the canopy out.
He
when we're
knows
growing
it.
seeds.
It's this company that it's in your records.
Okay. And again, if they can find anything, we'll put in our motion that if they find something that's obvious, they can report that to you and you report it to Mr. Salisbury, and then he can take the right action to help you with any issues that they find.
You can come back.
Maybe they're out there tripping the limbs, they have to see a problem in there, they can call it.
Do I have your phone number?
Somebody want to make a motion on this real quick?
I move that we deny removal of the tree, but hardly recommend a evaluation by a certified arborist, and at which point owner can come back to Bill Salisbury and we will discuss it further.
We do have an ordinance that we have to follow.
I'm sorry.
We have an ordinance that we have to follow. And we're required to do that.
Yeah, I second the motion.
Got a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, next one is 3878 Latson Road, removal of 52 pines, 46 oaks, and 33 other trees. Do we have a representative here, please?
Good morning.
Morning. Good, thank you for your patience.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm Jessica Myers and I'm a project manager with C Baker Engineering. I'm here representing the developer Pavilion Development Company. They are proposing to prepare the site for a new Take 5 oil change facility. For those of y'all that aren't familiar with Take 5, the concept is a drive-through oil change facility where the patron doesn't have to get out of the car. It's quick service. They have a lot of, cars just pull in, get serviced and pull right back out. So as part of this project, we are proposing to, on the left side of the tract, we're proposing the Take 5. On the right side, we are proposing to install all of the stormwater required to develop the entire parcel. You can see it's a little more grayed out. That 2,600 square foot building is just future planning. That's not proposed at this time. However, we are proposing to take the trees out to prepare what's necessary for the cross connection drive and for the stormwater requirements.
Which is the future building?
It's more grayed out. It's the 2,692 square foot. So that's proposed future, and so is the parking there in front of it and up to the plan north. That's all future concept. But the stormwater would be installed as part of this phase.
The stormwater doesn't come under the building though, right? The future building?
I'm sorry.
The stormwater doesn't come under the future building? I mean, is it away from the foundation of the future building?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so right now, that the trees in that foundation, the tree in that foundation of the building is not impacting the stormwater project of this construction.
That's correct. It's just, what's necessary to prep for the stormwater pond. It's making sure all the grading ties out. We don't want to have to, dodge around all the trees and potentially risk damaging any trees that would have to come out for that future building regardless.
I guess my real question is, can you do the project without removing the trees at this point in time, since the building is a future
Right.
construction, by leaving the trees? Can that be done with your grading and installing your stormwater pipes and all of that?
The future is when?
We don't have a set date yet, ma'am. But I mean, the near future, they're actively seeking a tenant for that part of the site. To answer your question, sir, it could be done, but as far as like the SWIP protections, the erosion sediment control, the grading, and even the utilities, it would be easier and probably less destructive in the long run to just go ahead and prepare the entire parcel.
Well, it's always easy to do the blanket treatment.
But easier is not always right, which we understand. We have looked at what can we realistically save here. As you can tell, so the driveway that we're proposing, between the parking. So we're proposing that parking there on the left. We're proposing the parking there on the left, and then the future parking would have to be tied into that center driveway there. So there is a consideration for being able to tie in the future development into what we're grading and constructing.
In stormwater constraints.
Yes, sir. The stormwater constraints, we've been working with the town's engineering department. And just given the fact that stormwater is a concern, we want to make sure that we're crossing all our Ts, dotting all the Is, and making sure that stormwater will not be an issue for this site.
I'll go back to my original question. Can that be accomplished without taking the trees down within the foundation of the building?
Within the foundation of the building, yes.
The footprint.
Within the footprint of the
Footprint, yeah.
building, potentially. We haven't gotten into the architectural plans yet, or, you know, the construction plans. We're still working our way through the town's DRB process. So there's the potential that we could potentially, you know, kind of kick the can down the road on the future footprint. However, with the need for being able to tie into the driveway we're proposing and being able to prepare that cross connection that the town has asked for, we would need to take out some of those other trees.
Yeah.
You can see kind of what's colored, what we're proposing for this phase, and then kind of, you know, what's proposed in the near future.
But that, go ahead. No, go ahead. That retention pond is for the entire site, both
Yes, sir.
developments.
Yes, sir. That pond is sized to serve the build out that you see there.
Because I didn't see the contour lines on the slide just before that. I'm not real expert at looking at this stuff. Could we go back to the one with all the contour lines?
The stormwater pipes are going to bring the stormwater to the ponds, not necessarily the grade itself.
It'll be a combination of both. Ideally, we would like to be able to prep for that future pad, and that would have some overland flow, but the majority of our site will be conveyed through a network of pipes and inlet boxes.
So are these parallel lines that curve at the bottom, are those grade lines?
Yes, sir. Those are
So the
intended to
So they,
show.
so that whole place is gonna have to be graded, at least on that side. So
Yes, sir.
There you would have to have, there were trees removed, but
Yes, sir.
there's just scores of area behind. It's just loaded with trees, and I don't do this for a living. I don't look at these things very much. It just seems like everything's got to go, and maybe it doesn't really have to at this point.
Well, I had the pleasure of walking the site, and other than a fine crop of poison ivy that's out there,
Yeah.
none of the trees, in my amateur opinion, were especially beautiful or magnificent. And the Parker's Kitchen that was just developed across Limehouse Road, it looks like they did a similar, type
Oh, yeah, they did.
construction. So it's also worth noting that since we are subject to the DRB, we are subject to providing an approved landscape plan. So there is a plan. We have a registered landscape architect on our project team, and we are submitting landscaping to the design review board for their review. The meeting's next week on the 21st.
As part of that plan, as part of that landscape plan, are there any thoughts of planting canopy trees around the retention pond? Because that does aid in retaining the water and filtering, actually absorbing the water out, and through evapotranspiring, inhibiting the retention pond from overflowing. Is that in the plans to your knowledge?
That's a great question. As part of this project, since we are developing for the Take 5, as part of this project that we're currently under the design review board's review, the landscape plan is only factoring in the entire buffer along Ladson Road and along Limehouse Road and along the rear of the property to where we're developing. So at this time, we're not proposing new canopy trees around the stormwater pond. However, we would be happy to make that consideration.
But I mean, I really think as a corporate partner of the town, but you really should, because you're proposing to remove God knows how much carbon sequestration you know, on a site that is dealing with fossil fuel. So it would seem to me that the honorable thing to do would be for the company to want to mitigate that damage as best you could. Canopy trees around the retention pond would be fine, and any of these trees that are not affected by the grading towards it, I mean, I would encourage you to look strongly at those again and see if you can't salvage some of those. But because the 58 trees or however many it is, that is a major blow to the ecology of this town.
Yes, sir. We understand that. And we certainly don't take removing these trees lightly. There is a 40-foot drainage easement there along that Plan Eastern property line. All of the trees within that we're leaving them alone. We have done our best to save every tree that's possible. We've had a certified arborist out there. You can see
What are we talking about?
the grade, or he's rated our trees, good, fair, and poor. Like I said, when I walked the site, other than that poison ivy, a lot of the trees they weren't in the best condition.
Yeah, and let me just add, and this is just for your thinking and your advocacy of our proposal, that even though your certified arborist says that this is simply a fair tree, there are so much more qualities that a tree possesses than mere aesthetics. An ugly tree takes up as much water as a pretty tree
Certainly.
of the same species. So I'm just saying that I strongly encourage you all to do what you can to save as many trees as possible and plant as many more back as possible.
Yes.
And planting canopy trees around the retention pond would be nice aesthetic
Sure.
move to take, to soften the blow, if you will.
Certainly, we would be more than happy to explore that. We are limited. I believe the ordinance prevents us from being able to plant anything in that existing easement. So that Plan Eastern side, I don't think we'd be able to plant anything, but perhaps between the pond and that future building, we'd certainly be happy to explore, landscaping that as well.
Does the town staff have an opinion on removing trees for that future building? I know.
We don't issue a permit for tree removal if there's an associated construction.
But as far as the storm water, since that has to be installed.
So it's a little more tricky with commercial sites. So when, you're talking about access and the stormwater issues that they have to address with the site itself. In general, what we see with commercial sites is that the clearing is done all at once. I don't know what the benefit would be of keeping those trees, if it's possible that the construction will be approved to go there. Tim McCall is reviewing this project. He would be the one to advise on what they are having to plan back.
Well, I think it ought to be encouraged that, and as Tenny has been finished suggesting, not ornamental trees, crepe myrtle or this and that bona fide canopy trees that would, in a very small way, replace over time the vast amount that's been removed.
Understood. We are
And
definitely,
It's hard to do that in a commercial situation. I appreciate it because every equipment goes everywhere and the ground gets compacted and you bring stuff in. If it's not that good, things aren't going to do that well. It's hard for us to deal with this kind of thing, as you can probably appreciate, because we don't do it on a regular basis. I wanted to ask, where are these trees that you were going to leave along a border somewhere that I don't see anything but X's?
oh, I'm sorry.
Earlier, you were saying that.
They're not shown on this plan, and I apologize for that, but you can see listed that I believe it's a 20. Thank you very much. There is that existing 20-foot drainage easement along the right-hand side vertically on your page. So lots of trees kind of buffering in between our site and the Dollar General next door. So all those are staying. It's also worth noting that we do have a Dominion easement, transmission right-of-way easement along the front property. So there's currently no trees there, just due to the nature of having power lines along
I
Ladson
mean, there
Road.
will be no trees.
There will be no trees.
Okay.
We are proposing, Dominion will let us plant certain trees so long as they don't
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
grow more than, I believe it's 10 feet in mature height. So I know that doesn't fix your canopy problem there, but we are proposing a diverse selection of canopy trees and understory trees along the internal landscaping of the site.
And we had a question about the cross drive. remember?
Yeah, I guess there was one, there might have been an opportunity to save a tree or a couple of trees where the folks will be coming into the business. Does that by DOT standards have to be at that spot? Can it be adjusted to possibly save a tree or two?
We looked at this and we tried. DOT, given the proximity to the Limehouse and Ladson intersection, and given the new Parker's driveway that you can
Right.
see, they wanted our driveway to line up directly across from Parker's driveway. So just given the lay of the land, given the cross connection and where DOT requested the driveway, that's kind of where we got pigeonholed into. Because I know there's that 24 white oak and the 21-inch pine that we really tried. We looked at every option to save. It's also worth noting that we are coordinating with Somerville CPW for access to that pump station. Currently, their crews have to pull into that little gravel driveway and to service the pump station. And then they have to back out into Limehouse Drive, which is kind of a safety issue. So Pavilion Development is working on an agreement so that those 3 spaces close to the dumpster will be accessible for Somerville CPW to have safer access to pump station maintenance. So, in order to give them safer access, that took out a couple more trees as well.
I have a question on the north side. There's a 25-inch willow, 14-inch oak, 11-inch gums that are
Yes,
not Xed out. Are those to be left?
Only that swamp chestnut is proposed to be taken out. That 11-inch gum is going to stay, the 14 oak is going to stay, and that 25-inch willow oak should stay.
And on the west side, there's an 18-inch red oak, 14-inch pine, 16-inch pine. It looks like another 14-inch. Those will be staying also.
We would like to keep those, yes. I can't tell you how many times I've redrawn that driveway to save as many of those trees as we could.
So you're saying possibly those trees are earmarked not to be removed at this point in time without approval from somebody from the town, correct?
Correct, yes. Only those trees with the X's, yes, sir.
I hadn't seen those over there hanging out.
Only
These are the
trees
ones you're
with
talking about, right?
X's. Explain the X's again.
The trees with
Yeah.
the X's are what we're
I
asking
know,
for
but
permission
Kenny
to
was
remove.
talking about
Oh, yeah.
these are-
Yeah.
The
I mean, I think I
color
knew the
just
answer already.
refers to the grade
story
of those
was.
branch trees.
This is the third one here. I'm glad you mentioned trying to find ways to save that 24-inch white oak because it's a really good tree.
It was
And there's a
rated
number
well.
of really nice trees in there.
And I wish he were anywhere else on the site because,
Yeah.
we're good about putting a landscape island around it, trying to save it. But just the town's engineering department really wanting to see that cross connection to give Dollar General access, safe access to that intersection, the lighted intersection. It's just, there's really no way to design around that tree.
I guess my only hang up, and I think someone mentioned it maybe doesn't make sense to leave those trees in that footprint of the future building, but every time we have a property owner say they want to do something in the future, we tell them they can't cut a tree down before something future. But I mean, obviously, if you have to have your stormwater, your grading, if it impacts a tree, then that's,
We can table this until.
Think that would be a good move.
well, you had mentioned too, I'm sorry.
Sorry, is this what was submitted for the DRB, the future one as well as?
Yes, just for pure reference. So the DRB will be looking at this plan. And we're scheduled for preliminary DRB on next Thursday, the 21st.
For both considerations, for both properties, which is,
Just for the take five. We are showing the future development just for, fluidity, but
but you require, the storm drainage scheme will be, the grading on the other side will be required, even if nothing happens here for 3 years. On the proposed site, we doesn't have a tenant yet, as you put it. So that work has to be done to accommodate the stormwater mechanics of the Take Five property,
correct. Yes, we have to have that stormwater pond
as well as the grading.
as well as the grading. Yes, sir.
Right.
Which neighbor? Oh,
Really?
we don't own that one.
Really?
That wasn't us. That's unfortunate.
How big was the lot?
Our
How-
lot.
No, the one you're talking about.
No, this is not a lot. This is a dollar store.
This, I know, it was similar size to this property?
It's probably about an acre. Our project is 1.16 acres.
So, but not getting an answer today is not going to impact what y'all are going forward with right now. I mean, as far as your timeline and stuff, I guess if we can get more information about what on the right-hand side, what is going to be impacted by the stormwater project to accommodate the Take Five, is that what you said?
Correct. I don't know that I fully understand your question because the stormwater that I'm showing right there, that's necessary for Take Five.
No, I understand the retention pond, but I don't know where, unless I'm missing it, where all the piping is going to be, the stormwater piping, the grading stuff, unless I'm missing something here, folks. If you
No, I don't. see.
have a different opinion.
Oh, no, we just haven't shown that yet. I mean, for what we need to propose, what we're showing for the 1,500 square foot building and its driveway and the parking to the left side, that handicap space and the 3 others. All that's going to be required for Take Five, in addition to the stormwater.
Was your question whether we delayed this for further information?
I don't know if it's
Back
worth
to-
it. I don't know if it's worth it. I'm just asking the question.
Well,
you
that
know.
was what he was asking.
Yeah,
is
yeah. is it-
How will that
how much-
impact you all?
It's going to impact y'all and your project by not having an answer from the tree board.
Well, I know that the DRB, they meet the monthly, it's very similar to y'all. I believe that it would be a bit of a schedule setback if we didn't get an answer today. Because I know DRB is going to want some concurrence from the tree protection board.
Okay. So I see at the bottom of the detention pond, there's piping right there.
Yes, sir.
And so you don't have anything showing any piping come from where else on the Take Five side going into that?
Not at this time, since this was more of a concept, but essentially what we're gonna have is just, a row of piping down the center line of the entrance driveway. Cutting plan right and down that second driveway into the pond. And then we'll have another inlet box and piping to collect water from the exit of the Take Five facility.
So from the top.
So-
stormwater.
We'll go straight down from where it says 12,700 square feet. We'll go straight down towards the building about where that 23-inch pine is. We'll cut over roughly to where that 22-inch pine is. Straight down to about where we go from, straight away into that curve, and we'll pipe directly over into the stormwater pond.
Okay.
And then we'll have an inlet about halfway between that 19-inch oak and the 20-inch pine. We'll have something there collecting just south of the building, and have, piping. We'll have that piped into the pond as well.
What about where it says future development to be permitted separately? Is there going to be any stormwater piping? in
No
that parking lot?
stormwater piping there at this time. That would be done along with the future, with that future development.
So that area, where the words are, future development to be permitted separately, trees, that isn't going to experience serious grading work, is it? Or is it?
Not unless the town's engineering department requires us to complete this cross connection drive as part of this first phase. That's kind of the wild card for us. Then they haven't since we're subject to DRB first, we haven't been able to go before, the engineering department yet. We've coordinated with them, but they're not sure which way they're going to lean on making that cross connection drive part of our responsibility during this Take 5 development. There's a lot of moving cards, and I realize this
Yes,
is
there are.
not,
That's
this
a
is
problem for us.
this
yeah.
is not a simple
No.
decision for y'all, and we are very much aware of that and very much appreciate y'all looking at this.
Well, I mean, it's our responsibility not to approve something that we don't know if there's gonna be an impact to those trees. So I mean, I think that would be a smart thing to do at this point. Is to table until we get more information about what you require on the undeveloped side, and what you need.
I'm sorry if this creates a delay for you, but at the same time, gathering more information is important.
Oh,
and it
understood.
Will benefit everyone in the process.
Certainly.
Everybody will feel better about the whole thing.
Is there specific information that I could gather that would make the board feel better? Is there a plan you want to see? Do you want to see, I mean, what would put y'all at ease?
I think we want to know what any construction at this point in time is going to impact the trees on the right-hand side away from Take 5.
Okay.
We obviously know that there's a detention pond, there's stormwater piping. So there's a lot of trees that are above the detention pond
Mhm.
that may not be impacted. If the grade has to be changed by town permit or requirements, absolutely. I don't think we're necessarily gonna have an issue with that at all,
No,
because we just don't know that
Can't.
right now, and we don't know that the future, I'm sure the future thing's gonna happen. It happened on the other side of
Mhm.
Limehouse, so it's coming, I'm sure. I mean, again, I'm asking the staff that this is something new for us. Is this something, are we out of line by asking this, or what, for the process? Okay.
could I ask, and again, this is because I don't deal with this a lot, all the contour lines, that's showing a level of grading elevations, right?
Yes, sir. It shows the top of that pond is at about a 29 elevation, and we're proposing the bottom of the pond to be somewhere around the 24, 23 range.
So the entirety of those grade lines that I'm seeing elevations is to be part of the retention pond,
Yes, sir.
on
The very
a
outer-
rainy day.
No, the trees would not do very well in there.
No.
The very outermost contour line would be.
Okay, I was just thinking about the future use of that, because again, I don't look at these things. So that's always going to be the pond. That's.
Mhm.
Yes,
so
that
it
would,
is, okay,
that would always be, that, I can tell you that would be the concrete outline of that pond.
Okay.
I'll move that we table discussion till we have more information. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll see
Your
you next time.
expertise.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, 138 Moon Shadow Lane, removal of 2 oaks, 1 gum, and 3 water oaks. Thank you for your patience. It's never great to be the last one.
Somebody's gonna be laughing.
Better last than never.
Yep.
That's right. All right, so we all had an opportunity to meet out there that day and talk. So where do we have these things? They're numbered
Yeah, number one was the live oak
in the front, that
in the front.
the utilities that are impacting that pretty.
The school bus and garbage truck hit that tree on a regular basis, and it has started over the past 6 to 9 months, starting to knock the lamp over.
They've actually hit the side of the tree, or they're hitting the limbs and stuff.
No, we have trimmed the limbs away from the lamp, but the roots are actually growing. If you can, I believe there's one of the,
Oh, we remember.
Yeah, we remember this, the roots, absolutely, yes.
yeah, see how it's pushing the lamp post in that second picture
Right.
over, and I think I have a larger picture too somewhere that I had posted. Yeah, see how the lamp is starting to tip.
Yep, I remember seeing that.
Yep.
Leaning, root forcing it over.
And that has just started over, like I said, the past year.
But those roots have been sitting on the top for a while.
Not that large. I'm just gonna be honest. It has gotten worse. We actually had looked into having that removed right before the pandemic. And then the whole pandemic started and we didn't, but it's getting worse and the roots are getting larger. The problem is the neighbor has water that comes down, and I think there probably was a tree there before the homes were built. And so it sinks and he gets a lot of water right there, and those roots, I believe, are trying to grow towards that puddle of water. Yeah.
Well, they may also, do you think the water underground is adjacent to the roots of those trees? I don't remember the image you're showing
No,
me.
it's back further by my neighbor's house, between the houses.
Because if it becomes a waterlogged place, the roots aren't going to grow into it. They're going to grow away from it because they don't like being underwater. I can't explain why that is so exaggerated.
I wish I
but-
had a picture of just a year ago
Suffocate.
so you could compare how large those roots and even that tree has gotten. Because, like I said, just 6 months ago, that lamp post wasn't tipping.
Any comments on that tree, Dan?
Well, only that, I mean, I think that you could probably root prune that tree and buy 5 to 7 to 10 years of it.
The tree companies that have come out, none of them will root any of that tree because the utilities are there.
Right.
They have all said we will not do anything with those roots. We will remove it, but we won't do anything with the roots because the water, AT&T's there, Warner Cable's there, and then whatever electricity is running to the houses, they said they won't do the roots. And a couple of them won't even grind the stump.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to say that, but there's so much there that it may be.
Mhm.
Well, we appreciate you checking out the root pruning first.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely.
The company that did airspace, to do it, airspace all the dirt out around the roof. Trying to find the utilities. for the construction work that years. And then blow the dirt out. Close to,
But it's so complex and interwoven that I can agree with removal of that tree, though I hate it because I think, as Bill said, I think it can be done.
The other problem is the school bus hits it regularly because it's leaning and the garbage truck hits it and it's constantly broken. It just, for such a large, it's going to be an enormous tree. It's just not the space for it, especially so close to the road with the school buses.
Yeah, that,
We have to agree with that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
definitely a tree.
it
that
could,
was
it
planted.
could be
I don't
pruned.
want- We're
but-
teachers, so I don't want to be responsible for a child.
I understand.
getting hit with a limb.
All right.
Okay.
Move on to number 2, we can. I don't think we had a problem with number 2, did we?
No.
Based on the DK and some other
Okay.
issues.
Certain.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Yep, no problem there.
Did you have a panorama shot of the back? Bill?
what are you asking?
Backside of the tree.
Backside of panorama, just of maybe three bowls side by side. Oh. Okay. All right, well, I remember 3 and 4 distinctly. they had issues in the top. They're both gums and they,
3 and 4, 3 and 5.
3 and 5,
I think
and they had water intrusion according to
I-
tree company.
I'm not sure what water intrusion is. Can somebody tell me what water intrusion is?
What we were told was either the tree was hit when the house was being built or hit by lightning. And when it splits, it's not healing correctly because it wasn't pruned correctly. And then water starts to get in before it actually seals up and starts to rot all the way down through it. And that's why at the top there, it kind of looks bad and it's dying off and
Yeah, I think the crown,
eventually it's gonna fall.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. And I'm not opposed to removing them, but water intrusion, that's just not a term that fits that.
the
So,
term?
so, you know, but I know, that's what your arborist told you. And
That's what
that
all
person's
the-
just
literally
mistaken.
All 10 companies said water intrusion, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
What's the proper term for, we saw what was going on.
Yeah, but water intrusion has to do with like saltwater intrusion into the soil and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. Water, it just means water's getting into a hole in the tree. So I'm grammatically, yes, that's correct. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
It's not a sign.
Had another
For an
term
arborist to
we were
use
aware
that sort of term is misleading because it's not a scientific term. But that's neither here nor there. What was the problem with the red oak, with the big red oak? I looked hard. I couldn't find anything.
That tree terrifies me. It has a lot of dead at the top. Pieces fall off of it taller than I am or go down 6 feet in the ground. Parts of it have hit the house. We're actually having a new roof put on the house on Thursday. And it is weighted towards the house because our other trees, and I don't, for reference, all those trees behind our fence are ours. We didn't put the fence back that far
Right.
because there's a creek between those trees. So we came in front of those trees to kind of keep, from the fence getting
Sure,
all that.
sure.
So he said because that established canopy is back behind our fence, every time something breaks off those trees, the new growth is growing and leaning towards the house. And UPC, our current homeowners insurance, is pulling out of the South Carolina market. And just working with my agent, he said these trees are going to be an issue. They will maybe insure, but put a provision in because they are in bad shape. And if something happens and they fall, we're not going to get our home covered. And number 4, 2 of the companies said that tree's probably 70-ish feet tall. And if it goes, it's going to split our house in half. So I'm worried. We've been in the house for 10 years. I hate to take them out. I hate to lose all that shade. But they're getting into bad shape. And, we have decided we're going to stay here. We were thinking about moving, but we're going to go ahead and stay in that house. And I just want to protect my home.
Of course. The,
So on this one, they said, that is that red oak or water oak or whichever number 4 is, it's getting bad. I have some pictures here. I just thought because of the dense shade that we had growth. When I showed the guy from Southern Roots what grows off of that number 4, he said that's definitely a sign of root rot.
may I see that?
Yeah.
They weren't there when we were there.
No, I had taken them off. Those are not, yeah. When I Googled
Is that
searched and told him
Canada?
this is what's growing on that tree. And I don't know if there's another picture of the other side of that tree. There's like a little crevice.
Some species doesn't
Where it's
indicate rot,
growing.
some obviously do.
Well, Ganoderma does, but I don't think this is Ganoderma.
That's what you're talking about there.
Some
And I
have
got-
lifespan.
I Googled, got it right from Clemson Extension. Is it this one? So do you see, no, that's the back side. Where that, where like the white strip comes down,
Mhm.
to the right of that is where these grow. Then on going towards that other rotted gum tree, we get like other kinds of things coming out of the roots, and these are also growing out of the roots of number 4 there on the front side where the porch is.
So I'm trying to remember having been there. You have some large trees on the other side of the fence?
Yes, sir.
The back
I think
fence.
if you go
And they're-
back to the one where I took the picture out of my bedroom, you can see the roof of the screen-in porch.
And they're impinging on they're confronting the crown of this big red oak, they're saying, and it's forcing them
Absolutely,
to
and
go.
it's causing it, and they said if we have that one trimmed, because it had damage at some point in time, if they take where all that dead is off, it's gonna weight it towards the house even further. So all of those trees behind the fence are all on our property. So we still will have some really nice trees back there.
There's a ditch, there's a drainage easement between y'all
On the
and
back
Unionton.
side,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's a ditch back there.
There's like between our fence and the ditch, there's like 5.
Yeah. So we still had 5 feet of property. We could have taken the fence back too. And Southern Oak, the gentleman from Southern Oaks, he said due to that space, we're just gonna see the trees deteriorating more because they just can't survive in that space. And he recommended if we get them all out, to go ahead and put in 2 ornamental trees.
What's an ornamental tree?
Yeah, like something that gets to be maybe 10 feet.
Well,
So,
it's a small area, but we encourage some sort of canopy tree, even if it's closer to the fence. I don't know how it would accommodate with the tree.
we could get a canopy tree that doesn't, get too bad on that for the screened in porches. We have a pretty decent area
Yeah, I remember.
that's fenced in that we could probably put something maybe in the middle there. We hadn't gotten that far.
Well,
just
we
because-
spent a lot of time looking at the tree because it's a 40-some inch, I guess. Red
Um,
oak, which is it's an iconic tree for around here.
Yes.
Its immediate visibility is that it's really healthy. I had a hard time looking up into the crown and finding it dead, but somebody who has seen it and has able to prune it out, balance the weight of the tree. These are things that first come to mind when we're talking about a magnificent tree like this. I understand what you're concerned about.
Well,
And
the thing with the balancing, and you can see in this picture, if they trim the dead out, the tree is not going to be balanced. And it's going to be weighted even further towards the house.
well, how much dead is there? I can't see the
There's
dead.
quite a bit. If you go back and see, you can see where most of the leaves are really brown on it because it's just not getting the nutrients it needs.
I'd like to see that.
I don't remember seeing any
It's
dead,
the one where.
just in the red gums.
That's number 5 right there.
There's some of the dead. If you. even in
Yeah, well, that's
that
a
one,
good
you can
picture.
See how green the other trees are around it, and that one's just not. It's got a lot of brown leaves. and disease.
That red oak has a different shade of green
Yeah.
to the leaf than a red gum does. That's what the difference is.
And, yeah, you can see all of the dead through there if you zoom. I don't know if you have zoom. capabilities, but you
Well,
can see all the dead things.
somebody could get up there at a considerably less expense and do some good work in there. Now, maybe they said they couldn't do it. I don't know. Maybe they were more wanting to take the tree down.
The
But yeah,
recommendation was to take the tree down because it was in pretty bad shape. And
Okay.
then Pruning it would go beyond, they'd have to take 40% or whatever it was out of the tree.
well, there's,
Excuse me, if they take out the dead,
which
is
is
that what
gonna,
they're talking about? I don't care if they take out 100% of the dead, dead's dead.
Well,
And it's not
there's
going to
damage,
change.
Not just dead, but damage, just damage up in that tree too.
did they go up in a tree?
We've had 2 different people, this was before the pandemic, went up in the tree and they said.
Did
a couple
Southern
years
Roots
ago-
go up in the tree?
He did not. He didn't. go up.
Is he the one who says you have root rot?
Yes.
And he's the last one who made the evaluation for you, I feel.
And I showed him the pictures of the fungus. You
Okay,
know, I
well,
said,
that's a
"This is-"
concern.
He said that's definitely root rot.
if it's the proper fungi that
Mhm.
indicates root rot. I'm not current on all that. These guys are a little more than I am. That would need to be,
He used very big terms that I did.
Would you recognize it if I said one?
It was like ammo something
Was
or
Amarella?
ammo
Yeah,
something or
that
other.
one.
not saying.
Amarella.
Amaryllis or-
yeah.
See the pictures where they might root in.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, all the names blend.
My concern too is that if, the insurance company doesn't cover that and something happens, I'm gonna be my house is just gonna be destroyed.
Well, that's why I'm wondering. I have no problems approving everything but number 4, quite frankly.
I understand.
Because I can't see, looking at your pictures and looking at and seeing what I saw in your yard firsthand, I don't see a need to remove that tree. I can see that removing some dead and damaged limbs.
And the roots are growing towards the porch and, water just puddles right there. And we've tried to aerate it. We've tried to dig it all up to get the water to absorb in there. And it just keeps, it's just, I don't know.
Tree person. On 72, is that a normal thing for you to be able to pour back in there?
Yeah, that is not abnormal. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's coming out about 9 to 10 inches, and I don't know what the diameter is way down there, but it didn't tend to go up, which is if that decay not only went in, but started going up or spreading out to the sides, then I would be more concerned, but it's sealed.
I'm not sticking my
right
hand
there.
in there.
I think we stuck a stick on your.
Yeah, I put my ruler in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway,
Well, you've
so,
heard, go ahead. Ben.
well, I would, I want to be helpful as I can, but I would like to know the extent of the damage in the crown and exactly, and have someone identify for sure that these are the type of mushrooms, the type of fungi. There is indeed root rot, that is not, I mean, mushrooms will grow out of wet areas, out of moist areas, and they're not necessarily an indication of root rot. I mean, they're simply not.
I told him it looked like orange coral. He knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'd like for him to see it. I mean, because I've studied these sorts of things before too, and for the life of me, and so has he, and so has he, and for the life of me, I can't remember what they all look like. I'd like to know that. As I said, I can approve everything but number 4 until I know more.
The other issue that I have with number 4 is the willingness to get it out now. The financial cost is a third of what it'll be if we have to come back later and have it done.
Yeah.
And if you're going to approve the other ones, I would like to just go ahead and get this one out too, because we do see issues with it. And like the gentleman said, it could fall tomorrow or it could fall next month. It could fall next year. It may never fall, but I don't really want to take that chance. And if I'm going to pay someone to take them out, I'd like to go ahead and get that one out too, just because the price is a third of it. And if I have someone come out later and do it, it's going to cost me 10 grand to have that tree out.
Do you have a letter from your insurance company about that tree?
Not yet, because my insurance guy is trying to kind of just get the feelers out there since UPC is pulling out of the market. We were waiting to get something with the tree committee and our new roof on till he can get some more feelers out there for the insurance to say, hey, we are getting these trees out, the new roof is on and all that.
Well, I had the same thing happen to me last year,
Yeah,
and I got somebody in there with a bucket and they took dead limbs out the tree and pruned it up. And the insurance company was happy with it.
was happy.
At first, they were not, right? They were telling
So
you,
for- at
you had
first
to
it would
take it
cancel
down.
my insurance, yeah.
hey, can't cancel them.
Yeah, we at least have to have something started. It was within 30 days, or we would be canceled as well.
You have chosen this company to do your work, that you've already made that decision?
Who's that?
Southern Roots, is it?
We are going between Southern Roots because he was a certified arborist, and Complete. They're also had a certified arborist on staff.
I was just wondering if whichever one you selected, if that certified arborist would meet the town's arborists and come out there and they point out the things that they're concerned about, and just say, hey, we think this tree should come down. We hear that a lot from tree companies, even with arborists. And they obviously just want to get the tree down and
Right.
get paid for it. Not saying these companies are that way at all.
Right.
But if there's something valid, then, we can give the authority to Bill to make that determination. Again, if they said they got up there and they saw a hole in the top of the tree, it was going down and water was pouring in there, it was right, it'd be a non-issue. We'd be, just,
You mentioned that the arborist was gonna write a letter, but he was gonna charge you for it. How much?
$500 for them to write a letter and
On the one tree. Really?
$500, yes. To write a letter saying that tree needed to come out. I thought, well, I'll just talk to y'all first, save my $500.
Well, I think this is a very reasonable suggestion the chair has just made, that the arborist, certified arborist in that company discuss the issues with the town's certified arborist
Okay.
and streamline it and rather than, and come to a decision easily, hopefully. That's the only fair thing to do because, I appreciate your concerns. We've already said we were there. It's a wonderful tree. It's in the wrong place. The tree was there probably before the house was.
Proof, not.
Huh?
He needs to come up with proof, not speculation.
That's right.
That's correct.
Okay.
We word the motion that
Yeah,
way.
we did see health issues with, I think, all the other
Yeah.
trees.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're fine with the other trees.
And we hammered and beat on this tree and to the best to, hearing it over the years with your ear, what a hollow tree sounds like, it doesn't sound hollow to me.
They did, the guy from Southern Roots said it didn't sound too hollow at the bottom, but just the damage he saw at the top,
Well, maybe you can go up there when
Once he
Bill's
gets
presence and
in-
then absolutely come up.
Yeah, someone's got to go up and really,
And
really
actually-
verify this stuff. When you're talking about, an iconic tree like this. There's things that can be done as far as the roots, if you anticipate. You've heard earlier about the air blowing. It's just to examine the capability and there's barriers that can be put down. It's to take the fear out of the existence of that tree for you, as well as the insurance company too, which is a new wrinkle we have these days. But I think this is a good path.
All right, someone want to make a
we
motion?
can go ahead and have those out, and then whoever gets up there as they're taking the other ones out, you want pictures, or you just want them to call?
If I can't come, they can call me when they come in.
Is that what you want? Like ladder trees will cut down and stuff?
The other ones, we can permit those, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it'd be great to be in the presence of you, and I think if you have a little bit of heads up, I think,
I'd love to come.
yes, I don't think the whole committee could go out there as a whole, but maybe one or two people can go out there.
Another field trip.
Well, I don't know, as a committee, we can go out there that day together like that, but we're not voting on it, but
Nick as well, perhaps. Okay.
I think it has to be publicized, right? If we all went out there as a committee, we'd have to be publicized again. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yes, if you want-
Thank you.
It helps a lot.
Yeah,
That's what a
I
teacher's
hate
for,
to
right?
lose All that shade, but yeah.
Like you said, but telling a teacher she's done her homework, that's kind of.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I can't say that for all my students.
I move that we approve trees 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 for removal, and that the arborist for Southern Roots
whatever
in
company you choose.
person gets together with Bill Salisbury, town arborist, to assess the health and threatening nature of tree number 4 as to whether it needs to be removed or not.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Yep.
Whoever reaches this side.
Hmm? I've never heard them before, so no, I do not know the complete. Bill may, I don't know.
Let me see that. Let me see that. That book. Have the book. Which one? The big one.
Oh, you're fine. All right, does anybody have any miscellaneous items? All right, so I do have one. I mean, I think most of you know I am resigning from the board. I have conflicts with a new job, unfortunately, but I've already let Jesse know that. So I think we need to nominate a new chairperson, and I'll take that step to nominate Peter Wall, since he's already done that in my absence a couple of times, and he's more than willing to do it, I think. But it's definitely open for any other nominations, so I'm open to hear if somebody else wants to nominate someone.
Reject your, I will reject your resignation. Yeah,
Well, I could make a suggestion, but that suggestion didn't work the last time. So anyway, for different reasons. So anyway,
I second your nomination.
all right, well, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? There you go, sir. First. You are now the chairperson, so you want to do the honors?
Well, I'd first like to say that that I've only been here a short time for Kenny's presence, but I think he's done a really good job. I've seen a couple of things that I never saw, that he did a really smooth job about ironing out some controversies. He did it again today. So we'll miss that judgment and the wisdom. I don't want to sound too flowery, but you know, that comes with time, and you've done this for a good long time. You haven't been chair for 10 years, but you've been on the committee for an extraordinary long period of time. And I just wanted to recognize your accomplishments, only the few that I've seen. But you have a way of reminding us that we spend a lot of time, as we have done today, painfully, nitpicking, but not nitpicking, but picking at private landowners about one tree here or one tree there. And yet at the same time, knowing that full visibility exists for what we see, the massive clearing, what we had the honor to be able to treat and attempt to come up with reasonable questions today about a commercial development, all having seen the beautiful woods that it was, knowing there's not gonna be a damn thing left of it. To remember that, you know, that the private landowners do need a fair shake when so much is just rolled over elsewhere. And so here's a reminder, he has reminded us of that. And if people wanting to be able to do stuff with their property, it's easy to get one-dimensional on this. And I tend to be that way sometimes, but I appreciate the vision, the wider vision that you've had. And particularly some particular individual situations where you handled them really well.
I appreciate this. It's been a great group to work with. Absolutely. It's been very fair, I think, to anybody that's coming before. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You're incredibly diplomatic, which is a hard thing to be. So
It's tough.
I comment.
Yes, it is.
Yes. I second all that statements.
I did tell Jesse I would try to help until another person is picked, and we had hoped that a new person was coming soon, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. But again, my job's got to come first, unfortunately. Has it been posted or anything put out there for? Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully someone will come soon. I'm sure I'll be bringing you an application to y'all soon, so just remember
I
how
thought
nice
you-
I was.
I thought you were gonna bring- I thought you said you were gonna bring lunch, since we never got one from the other side.
Yeah, that's all right.
Are there any other miscellaneous or type comments or anything? Bill, everything is. Have a motion,
Move to adjourn.
Second?
all in favor,
All right.
all opposed?